want to thank everyone for joining us today on this webinar. Again, my name is Jim Martin. I'm the Director of Business Development for the Topcon Solutions store. And joining me is Mark Roskin. He is our Survey Sales Manager out of our Carroll Stream location. Mark and I have both been in this industry for many, many years. I believe we each sold equipment to Lewis and Clark when they passed through. So we've seen a lot of changes in equipment and the surveying industry in those years. And I know we're very excited about Magnet Field and what it can do for our customers. So before we get into that, I want to talk about who the Topcon Solutions store is and kind of where we come from. We are the retail division of Topcon Positioning Systems, the manufacturer. We're a complete solutions provider doing all kinds of measuring and control hardware systems. We have a complete offering of software through our partnership with Autodesk and Bluebeam. We are an Autodesk Platinum level dealer and a Bluebeam Platinum level dealer. We have industry-leading training and technical support. We do field troubleshooting. We have local service and repair and a very wide range of everyday field supplies and accessories. Now, by the numbers, we have 13 brick and mortar locations across the United States. Covering 20 states, including Washington, D.C., and over 180 employees. And one of the key features of the solution store is we have a full training centers in almost every one of our stores. So we truly believe that buying equipment is one thing, but you have to be able to know how to use it and use it effectively, which is kind of what this webinar is all about. We have a full technical support team that's available Monday through Friday from 7 in the morning on Eastern time to 7 at night on Western, and a full service center in every one of our locations, keeping your equipment up and running. All right, let's go over today's agenda. So we're really talking about Magnet Field and specifically the map screen, kind of all the things you can do inside that map screen. So we're going to start off talking about the map toolbar. We're going to import a DWG file into the map. We're going to go back and review that map toolbar, all the features that are in there. We're going to review the drawing toolbar on the map screen, talk about working with points on the map, working with lines on the map, and then we're going to talk real quick about working with an IFC file, which is a BIM data. Last thing, go over the help menu and then go over any questions that we have. Now, I've got about 53 different features in the map screen we want to go over, and I don't think we're going to get to all of them today. We'll get through as much as we can, and then any questions you have, you guys can ask them in the questions pane, and then we'll get to them right at the end. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my friend Mark Roskin. He's going to basically walk through most of the steps we've talked about, show many of the features, and I'll jump back in when I need to. So Diana, if you could pass that over to Mark.
Thank you very much, and appreciate it, Jim. Thanks everyone for attending our seminar here we're having on the Magnet map screen. It does an awful lot. I get a lot of questions about what Magnet can do and how it might be different, and even questions about, you know, how can I make it work for me a little bit better than I may already be using it. Everything from finding some of the hidden gems we have in it to exporting graphical data as we work in the map, and instead of exporting out text files, maybe we want to have a little bit more and have that information passed along to our office people. So you can see my map screen here, and what I'm going to do first, let you know that I started a job called Magnet Map. I configured the coordinate system and the units of measure to accept the file that I want to import in. So this is a raw job from scratch, and I can immediately go to the map screen where, to begin with, we really don't have any data. And I'm going to show here first the toolbar, the map view toolbar, and what we have here on the right side of the screen. The top icon is the map properties toolbar, that we have a variety of different properties that we can set. And at the general tab, the first thing that I want to do before I do anything is to customize my toolbar to show you how you can add additional commands to the right side of the menu to make it easier for you to work and stay within the maps toolbar. So what we can do is move available options to us back and forth into the map properties and the map view toolbar. So the top items here are things that are already there. The things that I've added from the list of available items are things such as importing from file, exporting to a file. I've edited, I have the edited points capabilities in the map toolbar. Also to get me into my survey and mapping screen from the map screen. I also put in, have me show in the map screen my current position. And then if I want to generate any field reports from the map, this will permit me to take a look at the field reports that I've generated to pass along. So once we have made available to us the other options in my maps view tools, I could go ahead and approve it. We can hit the green check, and we have those new map tools available to us. So I want to import in the file to begin my job, and I did put in the import icon. And so if I go to the import icon, it lets me import in data. In Magnet Field, we've got a whole host of different entities that we can put in and files. And so I want to select multiple in this case. The format, if I arrow down, I've got a lot of different file formats that Magnet accepts. One of the largest groups of file formats that'll be accepted into our Magnet that you can see in any software. So we're going to select the AutoCAD drawing file and select next. And we find our drawing file in the IE files folder, where that's where we should be putting all of the files that we want to import from our job or export from the job. I'm going to hit the green check to approve that, and it's just confirming the coordinate system of the file, and we would select the green check. And in this data set, we have all of the entities that will be coming in. And this job here is, it also has a surface file we want to include. And this is the list of layers that Magnet Field found in the drawing. And we have the option to select all, select used, or unselect all, and just simply click on the layers we want to import in. So we're going to go ahead here and say select all or select used. And when we do that, we hit the green check. And when it finds layers that have no names, we're going to hit yes to all. Points with no names, yes to all. And we've imported in the drawing file. At this point, it says it successfully finished. We hit close, and this is the drawing file that has been imported in here. This file happened to be a parking lot modification to this particular site. And when we bring this in, we can take a look at it and see that we have everything there. So the next thing that we can do is in the toolbar of map properties, we can scroll across and see different things that we can change and take a look at as far as how we show points in the job, how we show lines on the map, and the like. And we can come over and just make sure when we want to view the different elements in the job, that it's set to what we're comfortable with, what we want to see. These can be changed at any time. And so as we come across here, we see we had that surface on. If we uncheck the box, the surface will be hidden. We also have here red lines. So if we're using Magnet Enterprise and we want to send the drawing file up to the cloud to our office, they can redline the drawing, send it back, and we would be able to see it here as to what changes need to be made, or modifications or additions to the survey and to the job. Over here we have the Bing Maps background on this tab, where we can check mark for Bing Maps or not. And on the last here we have our 3D models. And Jim, if you would, can you explain more about the 3D models in detail about our maps?
Yeah, absolutely. These are primarily the IFC files. And Diana, if you want to pass it back over to me, I'm going to show importing one just so everybody can see what it looks like. So let me click on all the right buttons here. So I'm going to bring in a 3D IFC file. And so when I choose what type, I'm bringing in a 3D model. I'm going to bring in an IFC file. Hit next. Grab this building D, green check. It thinks about it for a second. Says it's got one file in. And let me bring that one back in again. Excuse me. From file 3D model IFC. Grab that building one. And yes to all. And I want to edit it and make sure that it came in properly. Oh, see if I've got these turned off. Turn off building, bring that one in. Sorry about that. And my system seems to be crashing right now. So let me open my other one up. And I'll bring this file back in one more time. It's always great when things crash right in the middle of a demo. Turn off 3D, turn back into 3D, zoom extents, haha. One nice IFC file. So an IFC file basically is a file with loads of elements. So everything has got its own thing. And we could do stakeouts and layouts directly from these files. We can isolate elements, we can view them to see what it is. This happens to be a deck. So yeah, we work in IFC files and allow us to view things in 3D. So Diana, why don't you pass it back to Mark and let him kind of take it for the drawing files, which is what most people usually work in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that is about the 3D properties, the model and the map properties that you can have access to and view on the map screen. So once again, we have the general tab. We have the properties for our points and lines, the surface files if there are any, the layering, and the surface. And so when we come back in here, we put in our Bing Maps to see where the location is, which is really kind of nice so that you can see where your points are in relationship to key features at the site. And it's very helpful to be able to have the Bing Maps. And you can have that on or off pretty quick in respect to that background image of Bing Maps. So we have now cleared the surface. We've got our points, our lines, areas, things like that on this site here that we can view. And you can see also too with this parking lot modification here, it's in the magenta that is the proposed, and if we want to isolate that layer, we have our tools over here that we can do that with. And just to give you a quick overview of all of the icons here, this will zoom in. The magnifying glass here will zoom out. We also have a window that if we go from our upper left to our lower right, it will zoom in. But one thing it's not in the manual, if we use from right to left, it can actually highlight the points that if we go from our right to our left, permitting us to, if we tap and hold any one of the points here, we can actually create a points list of points that we have surrounded, and it will immediately go to the points list with those points you've selected, permitting you to go right directly to staking of those points if we use that window and zoom in using from upper right to lower left. So here we are with the small group of points here that we've done, and we're actually ready to stake that points list right from the map. And if I go to stake, it takes us and shows on the map where our first point is, and we can, in this case, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to, in my simulator, put me there at the first point. And we can see the information about zooming, about where to go, where the point is, and what the fill is, the cut and fill. And if I go ahead and tell it that we're right on our point, but let's say as an example in this screen here that you're in, which is the map screen, somebody says, well, I've got design elevations here that we want to change the information to. We can come up to the magnet icon in the upper left, and when we click on it, we see we have the capabilities of changing the design elevation. And so if I were to have a new design elevation, I could go ahead, enter that new design elevation in, hit the green check, and we find that we're not only doing the staking of the point, but we have a cut and fill based on someone giving us a new design elevation. So when we get to our point, we can see what the simulator is doing for us. It does act a little bit goofy here, but we're going to go ahead and store that point. And one of the other nice features about our map screen here is after it stores the point, you can review the information, but after it stores the point, we'll have an icon showing the staked point, and it immediately goes to the next point that was derived from our zooming to in our window and going right to that, creating a point list. So this takes me to the next point. We walk over to it. We go ahead and stake it. We'll go ahead and finish that and accept it. And we see the staking flags go, and we can zoom to our next point, set our simulator there, click store that point, overriding the tolerances that we have set. It asks me if I want to do that. We can take a look at what it's storing as far as staking information, and then it continues to go to the next point in that windowed selection group of points. And these little flags that you're seeing will show on the map display at any time, permitting one to see what they've staked and what still yet needs to be staked. So this was the last of our points that we created with our window. And when we're done, we can hit the X, we go right back to the map screen, and we can see what has been staked as a result of using the magnifying glass with the box in there. So It's twofold. Zoom in to a particular area, upper left to the lower right, and create a points list of points if we start from the upper right and go to the lower left. Very useful, and that's the feature there on that. The next one is just simply zoom to extents, and everybody, that's pretty self-explanatory. So this next one here is our layers, and what we can do is we can, if we click on the top layer, of course, we can come over and deselect visibility of the layers on the left, but one of the things that are in here too that not many people talk about is the ability to isolate a particular layer. So if I were to want to select all, I could come in and turn all the layers off and come down to a layer that I'm interested in. And just isolate that layer. So let's come down here and do that one more time. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn everything back on. And so that would allow us to turn layers off and on, obviously, here. Let's do this one more time. Okay. All right. Well, in moving forward, though, let's go ahead and turn it all back on. And so the next one is to be able to zoom to a particular point. So if we wanted to go to a particular point and have the map focus in on that point, we have the capabilities here of finding by a range of points, by code string, by a radius, by name, layer, or from the map. So we're going to go ahead and select match the entire name, plug in the point we wish to zoom to, hit the green check, and there we are on our point that we want to take a look at and work with in that area. We can change from 2D to 3D view here with the map view tools. This is the icon that we use to import in the data. The rest of the icons we added are on the second page, where we can export. And if we hit export, we can export the data that we manipulate. And you can see if we're going to an AutoCAD drawing, it shows you Autodesk and Topcon working together to where we actually have the Autodesk emblem when we are selecting an AutoCAD DWG to export out. We then can go ahead here, and any points list we've created, we can add that to our drawing file, our surface, if we wish to. And then maybe you want to change that drawing file to the date, or add the date to it. Maybe what crew, or the name of who actually did the survey, or added to the map, or did the staking. And so that is the export We also have on here to be able to view points, edit the points. That has that capability right in the map screen. If we want to go to start doing a survey from the map screen, we can select that little guy there and it will bring us in to our topo screen and permit us to utilize our quick codes that we have. So that as we're shooting in the job, we have quick access to the topo screen and to have quick codes available to us. As you can see here, we've been able to collect a point here just using that icon. And getting us into the topo screen and have available to us our quick codes of our most used codes. And you can have pages and pages of the quick codes in the topo screen. So I'm going to click back and it takes us right back to the map screen here. And after the getting into the topo screen, this is where we can, in the map screen, show where we are at. It'll isolate that for us. If we move it around, it'll snap back to where we are in the map. And if we unselect that, it lets us move around the plan like a sheet of paper on your desk. And that would be primarily it. If we're generating field reports, they will be here. And that leads me to the next step, which would be to show you a little bit about the pop-up menus that you have available to you. And if we were to click somewhere on the map, we can say we would like to create a field report. And that's by clicking anywhere on the map screen. And when we do that, it will create a field report. You can name that report and who it's created by. It'll show you a sketch of that map screen. We can add photos. We can get photos from a file that maybe we've taken with our controller. We can add new sketches. This is useful for, let's say we want to put a timestamp on that sketch along with a location. We can choose that. If we want to add notations to a particular area that may need more information for, we maybe want to draw an arrow to a particular area and write text about what we want to do to a particular area and have that information. And when we save it, that is down here in the map tools. And on the very bottom, we added it in for later. We can view that report, send it in, and have notes of what we see while we're out on a particular job.
Yeah, Mark, I want to add to that. Those field notes are kind of nice because they're basically screenshots. So, you know, when you're seeing things in the field that need to be changed or sent back, it allows you to take a screenshot, edit that screenshot, annotate it, add pictures, and then send it out as a PDF back to the field, either through Enterprise or any other way for either somebody else to review or anything along those lines. It's kind of a nice hidden feature.
Thank you. Yes. So that covers the map view tools that we have here on the right side. Hopefully that helps you and lets you know more about our map view tools. In our pop-up menu, people may or may not be aware of, when we click on a point, one singular point, and we just hold our stylus down, it permits us to do a few things, such as stake stake a point and direction, create point and direction. We can hide layers, lock them, and the like. It permits us to edit that point, delete it, or just basically get information about that point. So from the map screen, if we wanted to, let's say, stake that point, it gets it into the stake screen where we can go right to it and stake it out. And once again, after we stake it, we can exit right away, close out of our stake screen. We're back to our map screen. And once again, the icon shows up of the point that was staked. If we select multiple points, more than one, let's say 2, we can stake that points list, stake a line, stake a curve. We can stake curve and offset, stake line and offset, stake a point and direction, create a point and direction, or calc an inverse. That's added here. And so just immediately it allows us to do an inverse between those 2 points, show where it is on the map of the inverse, and also input other information for inversing additional points from either one of the points you selected. If we are doing 3 points, the pull down or pop-up menu changes once again, where we can create a plane, stake a points list once again, do a corner angle calculation that's added to the capabilities of selecting 3 points. And there you have just a few points or more. If we were to, let's say, select a point and we want to select a line, we now can stake a perpendicular between the point and the line. And that permits us to stake the perpendicular where the point is going to fall on the line. If we select different entities, basically, it's going to let us do some additional things in our pull down menu. And so that's what you can do with a point to a line. If we want to just select line work, we can stake the line work, we can calc the area, stake a slope, generate a line work report, reverse the direction in a line, corner angle computations, calculate vertical intersections. We can create points on that line and show information about that line. In this case, let's say we want to create points at our corners of this particular building. All we have to do is tell the data collector we want to do that, hit next, and hit the green check. We've created 5 points. And so we have the points on the corners of a building. Let's say we want to create offset points. We can go to corner offset, tell it the distance of our offset points we want to create. And we've now saved our offset points. Now we can see we have our 10-foot offsets on the corners of this particular building. And, you know, that's a nice feature for to have right in our map screen. And so the pop-up menu is very useful, and depending on the elements that you select, the pull down that you'll see when you hold your stylus down on the screen is going to give you a lot of different capabilities that many may not know. So hopefully that helps, and the pop-up menu is a very useful tool. The next thing we'd like to cover would be is going to be our drawing toolbar here at the top. We have the ability to create points, lines, through points. We can draw an area or a boundary. We can also do fillets here. We can do a best fit line to create curves on points, best fit lines, and we can join two lines together. So as an example, if I wanted to go to a point to create, I could just simply click on a line using the snap mode, and it lets me create a point on a particular line. If we want to come over here to the snap mode and say we want to put a point on a center line, this permits us to do that. This will create a radius point. This will let us put a point on an intersection. So if I select the snap mode on here, we can go to a particular line, a perpendicular line, and now we've created a point at that intersection. Right angle offsets, and then join points along a circle. In drawing line work, this is where we can simply click on points to create line work between those points, and then by clicking on the line work icon again, we can save that, what we've done by using the snap mode. Okay, and then one of the features that I think is kind of nice, I get a lot of surveyors, as an example, that want to do a best fit line over property pins that they've shot along a street. I think this is a pretty useful feature here. So if we have a set of points and we want to do a best fit line through those points, by using this command here for best fit line, we can select our points. After we've selected the icon, and as we go in and highlight the points we want to do a best fit line, we just simply uncheck that, and we have that line generated, and it's a best fit line, where you could then highlight that line that you've done a best fit on, and then stake that line that you've created. I think that's very useful. So hopefully you get a little bit of good information here that you can use that tool. So in the stake map, we can just simply hit the X. We're right back to where we were. And then the last one that I would talk about would be, for me, in terms of importance, would be a best fit curve. And what we could do on a best fit curve is much the same, where we can come in and we don't need to worry about the snap mode, because we can highlight the points that we want to do a best fit curve through. I'm just pulling out a few points, and now when I uncheck the box, we have a best fit curve through a series of points. So that is very useful. And so these are some of the things that you can do with the drawing toolbar and the snap mode. And lastly, in any screen that you're in, if you need help, we have our magnet icon in the upper left, where we can go to our help, and it will open up our help menu in whatever screen you may be in. So in review, we can come into our help menu and go over all of the features and benefits that we have in magnet field maps. you can click on any of these items here to get more details about them. Just remember, a couple of the things that we went over are not, in fact, in the manual. So let me turn it back to you, Jim, and if you have anything to add.
Absolutely. So that help menu, guys, for those that have an FC 5000 or 6000, it opens up a browser menu. So it depends on whatever your default browser is. Dana, why don't you pass that back over to me? And I'm going to open this up in my screen. There we go. A few other things to kind of go over. Let me roll this over here. So, you know, this is very typical of kind of what happens when you open it up in an FC 5000. It'll open up this browser. It might be kind of small. So you just open it up and expand it out or maximize it. And again, it's very dependent on what your default browser is on that FC 5000 or 6000. But it usually likes to open up Internet Explorer. So, and then it's usually pretty smart. So anything you want to learn about pretty much anywhere in Magnet Field, it's not just the map screen. There's going to be something in this help menu, and it's generally pretty smart. So if we're working in the map screen and you hit the help menu, it'll pop up in the map screen help portion, or the help portion of the map screen. So I want to cover a couple other things in here. That layering, it's always fun doing these demos, these presentations, because you miss and forget a couple things, and so I wanted to show that layer thing that Mark was working on, that turning layers on and off. And Mark, I think it was you had that layer locked, and that's what was getting mad at you. But if you go into your layer menu here, and let's go through and turn everything off again. So we're going to right click, which on an FC 5000 or 6000 is pressing and holding, and that's when you get the pop-up menu. So we'll select all, turn them all off again, and I'm going to go back to that one you were working on. Turn it back on, it'll just turn on that layer. So turning layers on and off kind of works back and forth, and this is how you do it. So when I go back, now all I've got is that layer and the lines that are on that layer to work in. So let me turn them all right back on. I'm going to right click or press and hold, select all, turn them all back on, go back out, and there they are.
Thank you, Jim.
And then the other thing I discovered I was doing wrong before with that IFC files, the IFC file is a 3D file. So I was trying to look at it in 2D, well, it wouldn't show me. So, but you can switch back and forth from 2D and 3D with this button right here. Very helpful when you're working in surfaces. So if you're looking for a surface and seeing where things are convoluted or wrong, or what happens a lot in surfaces is whoever designs it forgets and leaves a 0 point in, so you got this big dip, or this one point that's really high, so you got this big peak. Well, they're tough to see when you're looking top down. If you flip it in 3D, which this file does have some 3D elements, but it gets a little goofy because it was originally designed as a 2D file with just some 3D elements that are really high or really low. And looks like it's going to crash my computer, which is, you know, I think most of us are probably working from home with this pandemic stuff. So every now and then my internet gets a little mad, makes my computer mad. So we're crashing this one right now. Diana, what? There we go. Yep. So my computer completely crashed. I see we do have a question, I believe. Diana, will you? What have we got in there?
So you might have just answered it, but it says, how does the new lock feature work in layer management?
Good question. Basically, if I understand it correctly, and there's some of these that I'm still learning. In fact, what was really fun about Mark and I putting this together, there's so many things in the map feature that I even learned things from Mark, and he learned things from me that we were going over it. But as I understand it, basically kind of just locks it out, doesn't allow you to work in that layer at all, which is what we saw earlier when Mark had that locked up. What else we got in there?
That's all we have so far, but just to reiterate, if you do have any questions, feel free to insert those into the questions pane.
And let me get mine pulled back up here. I wanted to show a few more things in the map screen, make sure we covered everything. So I wanted to clarify to make sure everybody understood that when you select something, it turns orange right here. When I select another one, it turns orange. And when I want to unselect them, I simply need to click or double click away in a blank spot. That unselects things. The other thing is, as Mark was pointing out, your pop-up menu is dependent on what you have selected. So as he showed before, I have a single point selected here. So I'm going to do my pop-up menu. I have these choices. Well, if I select 2 points, my pop-up menu totally changes because I have a lot more choices that I can do. If I have 3 points, it changes. And if I have 4 points or more, I think that's where it changes, is at 4 points or more, it changes. One of the things is this calculate a vertical intersection. Let me choose some points that would make sense here. I'm going to choose that one. I'm going to choose that one, and then this one and this one. Now I did that in a very particular order. Let me calculate the vertical intersection. And what it does, it takes those 4 points in order, takes the grade from point 1 to point 2, and then extends that grade towards point 3. It takes the grade from point 4 to point 3 and extends that grade to point 2, and then finds where it intersects. So this is that intersection of this grade going this direction and this grade going that direction of where it intersects. Really helpful in the roading routine. So again, that was having 4 points, and it is very particular on the order that you select. The other thing was lines. If you want to stake a line and it's going to tell you whether you're left or right of the line, that is dependent on the direction of the line. Well, if you want to change the direction, we can do that in all lines. So let me find one that's got direction on here. Or here, I'll draw a line real quick. Let's go from this point to that point to that point to that point. So you can see it's giving me the arrow of that I'm drawing that line on. Well, so if I want to stake this line this way, over here is the right of the line, this is left of the line. But if I do my pop-up and reverse direction, as you see, the arrows go the other direction. So now this becomes right, this becomes left. And sometimes this really helps out when where you're staking, what are you staking? Do you want to stake in a particular direction? Does it make more sense for your rod guy to be on the right or the left? So there is an ability to completely change the direction of the line. Let me pull my notes up here and see if there's anything else major that we missed. I think that's pretty much it. We have any other questions? I see one more popped up. Diana, what's that other question there?
So there's a question that came in that says, does the background map feature support custom WMS in lieu of Bing Maps?
Absolutely. So if we go in here, these are my choices, we can set it, and you can edit, import your own maps, create them. So yes, it does support them. I want to turn my Bing Maps back on. Let me turn it on. If I did it right, it should all pop in well. And I think that's a lot of the major things. Is Mark, is there anything else we needed to add?
Well, no, I think some of the things that I went over were actually questions that I get routinely from new users or people that haven't used it before. They want to know where a particular feature is. So I tried to give bullet points on some of the most used features pertaining to the questions that I may generally get.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of this is things that we've seen people work on, things that I did when I first started working with, things I still do occasionally. Like right now, I've got this line and these points selected, and I want to start working with something else. Well, I forget to unselect those lines. So just double click somewhere else and now it's unselected. Or if I'm drawing lines like here and I draw a line, draw a line, draw a line, and then I want to go do something else, I forget to get it out of line drawing mode. So I got to remember to do that. And then I can start working somewhere else. But just the little tips and tricks that Mark and I have learned working with this. I really like the map screen because it's incredibly powerful with things you can do. And hopefully that helps everyone, helps them do their job a little better and be more efficient and work with Magnet Field that much better. So Mark, if you don't have anything else, Diana, is there anything else that has popped up?
Not at this time, but if anyone does have any additional questions that come to mind, please feel free to email us at info@topconsolutions.com, and we will get to those questions and follow up with you as we're able.
One thing I'd like to add too is if anybody has any suggestions on what they'd like to see in a webinar about Magnet Field or any of our magnet products, please send us your request and we can put something together for you.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you attending.